Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Today I want to talk about all the bugs and weird mechanics that currently exist in Diablo 4 that I hope can be fixed for Season 3 with the leaderboards coming to have a more fair game and a more transparent game for everybody. So I have a list here that I'm also going to link in the description that talks about a lot of the issues here in the game. And I also have a bunch of links to videos I previously made about like the different snapshot mechanics and just like different like unintuitive and weird mechanics that are challenging the player base right now. On the top level, a lot of these are used, and I really hope before they go into all this like balancing and nerfing of classes, they will take a look at all these different kind of bugs and mechanics that skyrock certain builds to a crazy level, but maybe they are not like as powerful as they seem because there is many of this like weird interactions and mechanics. So let's get into it. Again, you can read along, I'm going to put this in the description. So the first and biggest issue, and a lot of discussion has been going on in the community, is about the snapshot mechanics here. And there is basically a couple items such as the aspect of elements that you may have seen that people snapshot. So what's basically been going on is that you equip an item that is on a two-hander and on a one-hander here at the same time. So you see here it grays out the old effect, but it keeps the powerful effect. And you can see this in the sheet as well. It's going to give you a 60% bonus. I don't know where it is right now. Somewhere in the sheet. Like there's 60% bonus, and basically you go in the dungeon and then you switch your weapon, and it basically tricks the game and in thinking that the 60% from a two-hander is still active, and it basically gives you a double efficiency on this power, essentially like snapshotting it into the run. And this can be done with various aspects. Most people use elements, but it can also can be done with accelerating. It can be done with the Shard of Dawn. It can be done with Vigorous, Ancient Flame, Exploiter, and there's a bunch of aspects here that people do this with. So yeah, I just like explained this all here. There's also a video, so this is obviously a huge problem for the game because all these snapshots, like you have to do them before you start every run, and basically in the end, when everybody is doing it, it feels like a chore rather than like an actual like fun mechanic, and I think it's very misleading for a lot of players, and a lot of players don't like this. There is something even crazier with skills. For example, on the Sorcerer, people manage to snapshot the Verse Mastery passive, essentially playing with multiple key passives at the same time. So you can see this here when we go on our Injured Ballswalk and we go on the skill tree. We have the Verse Mastery. I don't know why it's not loading. Here, the Verse Mastery key passive here, where you basically deal more damage and you take more damage from close enemies. And this can be snapshot together with the Mage Lord aspect, and then the Sorcerer basically respecs into Overflowing Energy, essentially playing two key passives. So this is like another crazy snapshot that they're doing. Then we have all the Paragon snapshots. What players are doing is they are snapshotting the Blood Rage Paragon node here. So this one gives me currently a 65% generic damage bonus. And if I equip a bunch of Berserking gear here, which we do real quick, this one now gives us a 91% bonus. So essentially like almost 30% more. And you just enter the run and then you switch back all your gear and you do the element snapshot at the same time, and it just basically gives you a Blood Rage snapshot. This can probably also be done on like other classes like Frigid Fate, Earthen Devastation, Thunderstruck, all these kinds of stuff.
We love you, Rob. Thanks for everything.
Thanks, man. And so yeah, I just want to give some feedback here. The last one here is Ravenous. This can also be snapshotted. You can read about all of this, but what it basically does is it snapshots your attack speed at the moment you get the buff. And then you keep that snapshot for the entirety of the duration as long as you don't drop the buff. So what people are doing is like we're basically just snapshotting with like a bunch of max movement speed at the start to have the permanent attack speed all the time. But on average, especially when it's combined with Metamorphosis, it's impacting the player negatively, because when you use Metamorphosis, you are actually losing your movement speed, So what you do in the sheet is you lose 100% of your movement speed whenever you press Metamorphosis. And this can give you a very bad Ravenous Snapshot because Metamorphosis, you see here 124, and if I just dash, it goes down to 24 for a second. We can do it again here in a second. So yeah, here 24 again. So this can give you a very bad snapshot, and it's actually like super counterintuitive and misleading, and players actually don't get any bonus out of Ravenous in many situations. And who knows if some of these seasonal powers stay in the game. It would be a very cool thing to see, I don't know, like Ravenous or even Metamorphosis, you know, to become a core of the game, similar to how the Varshan rings here, the Red Furor, or like all the amazing abilities from Season 1 became a core part of the game to make it more complex, to make the end game and build diversity more interesting. So I'm also going to talk about a couple of the Vampiric power buffs. Yeah, you can also snapshot the Blood Rage, of course. So we can also talk about the Vampiric power buffs. Because there is a lot of bugs with this, such as Domination, executing the players. Again, Ravenous, snapshot the attack speed, Metamorphosis, making you stuck and reducing your movement speed. Prayer of the Weak, not counting properly as a multiplier. These are just minor things. If they consider, you know, keeping these in the game for like a long time, or like introducing them somehow as a unique or something. I could, for example, see the Ravenous here, or even the Metamorphosis, for that matter, like the popular ones, becoming, let's say, a utility aspect that you can put on your boots or something. I think that would be really cool to see these powers, you know, make a comeback and basically stay in the game, so development time is well invested there. But we'll see. So there's just a bunch of feedback with that, and snapshots in general, I just hope, you know, they will get rid of it. I hope, at least out of most of them. I mean, to some degrees, snapshots are necessary to have for it to feel intuitive, but like these item switching and skill and paragon swapping in particular, I don't feel it's healthy for the game. It just feels like a chore for the player. Then we have some bugs with some items here that would be, I think, cool to see fixed. Like, as you guys may know, they are nerfing one of the Uber Uniques, the Melted Heart of Selig, will not count as resource spent. This is going to hit like Barbarian, I think, in particularly very hard. So it's probably not going to be the Uber item that we want to play, and I'm not really like on a cool stand with like nerfing the Uber Uniques, because I feel like Uber Uniques in the end, you know, are super like hard to get items, and they should feel powerful and have like unique effects. I mean, they're called uniques. But I get it that immortal builds are probably a bit too strong in certain scenarios. But again, in the end game, you're basically focused on dealing damage, not tanking damage. So I don't really feel that was a big deal. But yeah, they're nerfing the Melted Heart. And there is also another bug with the Melted Heart, where when you equip it, so just for those of you who don't know, this is a Melted Heart. It basically gives you a shield for your resources. It basically shields your life with your resources. So whenever you would lose life, you will lose resources instead. But some effects are piercing this shield. Like, they're completely ignoring it, such as poison explosions and fire explosions, like mainly the on-death effects of monsters. So you might have seen it if you're playing Melted Heart of Selig, like there's a poison explosion or there's a fire explosion and you just get one shot. And this happens because it just completely ignores the Melted Heart mechanic, because, I don't know, the monster is not alive or something. But this is a pretty frustrating bug if you happen to find this rare Uber Unique. So I think it would be cool to see this changed as well. Some feedback here for the Ring of Starless Sky. Like, this is, I think, a bit underwhelming Uber Unique. And one of the reasons why it's underwhelming is when you get the stacks for your Starless Sky Ring, you are basically interrupting the stacks with every action that you do that's not your generator. So every consecutive core skill cast reduces the resource cost of your next core skill. But the problem is, you're still casting executive core skills, but if you're drinking a health potion, or if you're using, you know, your spacebar, your evade in the middle, it interrupts this consecutive casting, or it doesn't count. And I think it should, because drinking a health potion is to me is not really like, you know, interrupting your skill flow. It's just like drinking a health potion or evading. So this is one of the reasons why Starless Sky feels a bit underwhelming. It would also be cool to get like a bit of a damage component to core skills on it, I feel. Just something to consider. And then the Shard of Dawn, this is like the new aspect that they introduced with the Midwinter Blight. And this aspect was bugged from the beginning. Like whenever you would switch your weapons, like on Barb we do this a lot, on Rogues you do this a lot, like you switch from a mace to a sword, or from, you know, like a bow to your swords on Rogue, it would lose the positive bonuses. So I think that's also like a bug, like whenever they, you know, introduce this back, would be cool to see fixed. Yeah, then we have skills such as Hammer of the Ancients, just gaining certain runes for free. I don't know if there's other skills like this, but basically on Hammer of the Ancients, if you, and this is one of the reasons why Hammer is overperforming in comparison to other core skills, it just gives you the Violent Hammer rune for free. You don't even have to have it skilled, you don't have to do any snapshot, it just like works. It's just bugged basically, you just have the bonus no matter what you do. And obviously this is misleading a bit, and making the Hammer of the Ancient buff, I feel, look a bit stronger than it actually is because of this bug. And in general, the general theme is there's just so many, you know, bugs and hidden mechanics in the game that just make some builds overperform. But once these bugs are fixed, it would be way better to then, after the bug fixes, look at the balance and basically adjust from there. Because else, yeah, we might see, you know, a lot of over nerfs to builds and then they're not viable anymore. And I would much rather see, you know, bug fixes and then buffs to the weak builds. Like I said in previous videos, for example, to the Necromancer, which is clearly underperforming right now, or just pet builds in general. Pet builds on the Druid, pet builds on the Necromancer would be amazing to see. Buffs, like such a unique playstyles, and yeah, it would just be cool to have these a lot higher on the board. Yeah, then we have another one here that's basically preventing all the bleed builds on Barb to be good. And this is also somewhere the tooltip is misleading again. You have Gushing Wounds. And what Gushing Wounds usually does is it's scaling your crit damage multiplicatively to your bleed amounts. So basically you can buff your bleed with your crit chance and your crit damage. But the problem is, this is not really working right now. And it's very difficult to test this, but from what I could see, even on bleed builds, it's still more beneficial to use Unbridled Rage, because Unbridled Rage is a multiplier, like it says here in the tooltip. This tooltip is correct. But Gushing Wounds does not, I repeat, does not seem to be a separate damage multiplier. It seems to be in the additive category, you know, the big bucket where every damage is calculated in. So it doesn't, like, it's very hard to test, but from my testing, it did not feel like a separate multiplier, which the tooltip and I think also the wording and everything clearly intends it should be, right? It says clearly X here and not plus. So you're basically almost not getting anything out of Gushing Wounds, because obviously you already have a lot of additive damage on Barbs especially. So yeah, Gushing Wounds is misleading, and I hope this could be fixed to actually make bleed builds more viable, because currently they are underperforming a lot. And if it's going to be a separate multiplier, I think there is going to be a good chance that this is going to be the case. On Druid, we have a couple of similar things. Let me just like quickly log on my Druid. I've been playing quite some Druid. I actually got my TOB to 200 there as well. And the Druid has some things that are misleading as well. And obviously it has one overperforming build, which is the Shred Druid right now. And Shred Druid is basically overperforming because it's double dipping the crazy multiplier.
Agree on pets and in general. Fix bugs and then rebalance.
Hell yeah, agree, man. Hopefully we can see something like this. So what it does on Shred with Poison, it's squaring this multiplier. So you can see here we have times 9.87, so almost times 10 damage. And we are basically have this times 10 squared, so we get 10 times 10. We actually get 100x our damage with this simple Tears of Blood. And this is also going to be the case for like future multipliers with Shred, because we have the Blurred Beast and the Stormclaw basically benefiting from it twice. So you're once benefiting from your Poison Creeper or your Endariel's Visage, like this gets multiplied, this 15k, or this, like, you know, 1 million, like it's getting multiplied by all your multipliers, and then the Blurred Beast final damage proc is multiplied by all your multipliers again, resulting in some pretty crazy numbers. And Shred actually is the strongest build in the game right now if you have a high TOB. Been doing like 25s in like just a few minutes basically. It's completely crazy. So yeah, this is like a problem, I think, also long run. And if they would fix this, I will hope that they will like buff Shred itself as base to compensate for that, and also buff like other druid builds. Like for example, Lightning Storm only scales with attack speed when you spam click it. Like there's like a lot of these things, and like Whirlwind, for example. Actually, I should add this here. Whirlwind is also a channeling skill. Does not scale with attack speed or overpower. So fixing like things like this for just channeling spells in general to make them properly scale with attack speed, probably even make them scale with overpower, would be pretty cool to see. And then we have the Envenom. This is just a tooltip bug. Like there is the Envenom passive here on the druid. So this one says plus, but it's still clearly a multiplier. I don't know what happened here. It's a 1.6 multiplicative bonus and not 60% additive. So making this like way stronger probably than it is intended to. I don't know. But again, you know, like the average druid build is not overperforming, and I hope if they change some double dipping, or if they change some of this stuff, at least change the tooltip, and probably we could see buffs to like the weaker druid builds. Then obviously on Rogue we have the bugged combo point Condemnation. I think every build that is running ABBA 12.0 right now is using this bug. And I've not seen any clears that did like 20 plus without using this bug. So basically everybody's doing it, and everybody who's not doing it is not on top of the boards because this bug is just so powerful. So what they're basically doing is on Talbot's Will, actually show you to this in game. It basically reads that you get 20 maximum resource, and on a rogue, this 20 maximum resource also works for your combo points, for your specialization. So you are getting, with the Condemnation Dagger, which basically gives you full combo points, or there's a chance to get full combo points, you are getting, instead of 3 combo points maximum, you're getting 23 total combo points, which is completely crazy and actually breaks the skill tree. Like people are getting up to like thousands % of lucky hits, and like basically every skill is scaling the combo points. And scaling now, instead of 3 combo points, it's scaling with 23 combo points, making it like couple multiplicative times stronger than it actually should be. But this is obviously a major bug, and I think especially ranged rogues, if this bug is fixed, they need a look at, because I obviously feel like Twisting Blades is always overperforming on the rogue, and it has been overperforming for 3 seasons. And I really hope that they're gonna make the ranged rogue a bit more viable after these like bug fixes. Then there are several bugs on Sorc. For example, the Asu passive. It's the fire passive, or you'd think it's the fire passive, this one. So Asu's Ferocity, it says your fire skills, critical damage is increased. But this actually like works for all skills, including Ball Lightning. People are using this on Ball Lightning, Sorc as well, and on any other element basically. You can basically completely ignore the fire part, but this is clearly not intended because it has a fire icon, it says your fire skills, but it still works for all the skills that are not fire as well. And then it has a bug that's impacting every Sorc build negatively, or almost every Sorc build, is that the Mastery passive here. So it has a damage component and it has a defensive component. It should give you 1.5 times X, but it's not X, it's plus. So it's again misleading the player to think that you'll get a good bonus on this, but 15% additive is actually pretty bad for an ultimate passive. So people mainly just use this to snapshot the 20% close DR. But yeah, you're not really benefiting from the multiplier there because it's just additive. And then yeah, Necro needs probably like, there's probably many bugs and many more bugs than what I've listed here. But yeah, Necromancer in general just feels way too weak, and I really hope we're gonna see a significant buff to these classes. Lastly, I want to talk about the lags. So recently there is a lot of server lags. I don't know exactly why this happened, but it only happened, or it only started like a few weeks ago, where I basically just randomly go into an ABBA 12.0 and it starts lagging. Like I'm not even making a pull or something, like this, the ping just spikes. So there seems to be, especially on the Europe server, but I've also heard it from US and from all around the world. And no, it's not my internet, because I've heard this from like hundreds of people, that they just have like random high latency spikes for no reason. So really hope something like this can be addressed. And obviously there is a lot of lags that are caused by different builds, such as the Ball Lightning Sword. I should say produce. You know, like they do like tremendous amount of hits per second, and especially in big monster pulls. And it gets particularly worse when there's a damage resistant elite on top of that in the pull. The game basically becomes almost unplayable. Like you're just seeing like, you know, one frame every like 10 seconds or something, and it completely lags out the game basically. So hopefully either they are tuning down these like amount of hits that these builds can do, or they just, I don't know, significantly improve or ease up the calculations, whatever is happening there in the back end. It's clearly not working, and we are basically back to where we had area damage in Diablo 3, where we just have like all this crazy damage that's gonna create this like huge lag issue whenever you are playing with these kind of builds in big pulls, and basically prevents you from playing how you would optimally play the run, because you always have to play around the lags. But yeah, there is definitely a lot more things than this. Like, I did not list everything. Like, this is just like what I compiled here over the course of a few days. There is more like specific bugs probably on all the classes with like a lot of the skills. But I feel, and especially the snapshot part has the community in big discussions or something, if this is like okay to do, or like, you know, whether this will or is or should be fixed. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I hope this video helps to get you an overview. And again, the sheet here will be linked in the description, and there is example videos of everything here, so full transparency. You can check it out, and hopefully we'll get a lot of these things adjusted or fixed for Season 3, so we can have a fair and open and transparent leaderboard competition. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Take care, my friends. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.